So yeah, that should be a lot better. So it's a ZVP now coming our way. It's our about a little bit of the mistake there in some the overlay, but we are going to be getting into our next game in just a bit. So draft is happening right now, and it seems like our bans are going to be Purity in Industry, Simulacrum, Golden Wall, as well as Zen. So uh we are gonna be seeing Everdream into this one rather than Simulacrum. It feels like that's the one that gets swapped around a lot in terms of the map draft. And I do need the second map though, real quick, and it is. Yeah, I need the second map from our guys, Mr. Bayagster. But our first map, guys, is Eternal Empire. Let's pick that one up real quick, just so we can get our maps going. Yeah, Eternal Empire is map numero uno. Our second one will be Nightshade. So Nightshade is second. This does leave Everdream as our third mag pick instead. So yeah, we got a set ready to go, and I'm really happy we have so much assistance from our admins as well as our players to get everything up and running for our stream. But let's look into this best of 3 map pool. And here we go. Eternal Empire to start things off. Nightshade gonna be next on the list, and Evertrain to wrap things up. In the ZVP, these are really good maps, honestly, for both races, and it's gonna be pretty interesting how this works. Anyway, though, we can get into the matchup, and let's go into this one. Make me referee real quick so we can get the pauses on. It's time for our Zerg versus Protoss matchup. Are we ready to go? Seems like both players are good into this one. But on the first map, honestly, on Eternal Empire, I'd love to see bayagster actually play that Sky Toss yet again. Really go for the harassment, especially onto the corners of the map. And in the meantime, Nuks might be able to play his macro game. Nightshade, though, I feel like that is going to be Nux' ground to really beat on down against the Protoss. And if Everdream does actually make it through all the way on the last half of the map pool, well, it's going to be interesting time to see bayagster actually wall on and do something a little bit of the same from their previous matchup. So this is a rematch, guys, of the round number 2 match all the way in the upper brackets. And with Eternal Empire ready to go, let's get into this game. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and here we are, and here we go. Seems like we've seen this before already, but we are gonna get into another matchup here. And now introducing first, on the top right of Eternal Empire, knocked down in the semifinals all the way in the upper brackets, looking for a little bit of revenge, not only against his opponent but also against the one that took him down. It's our blue Zerg Nuks. And on the bottom left, it seems like internet is his biggest hamper. Very creative as a Protoss, always bringing in something a little different, both in Brood War as well as here in StarCraft 2. It's our red Protoss, bayagster. We're already getting a little bit of lag spikes here and there from either bayagster or one of our admins, so hopefully everything is going to be a-okay in that front. But the hatchery first here from Nux, a little different from what he brought along on the previous quarantine tournament. And bayagster in the meantime going to be going for his standard wall yet again. So in round number 2, Nux was able to take down bayagster, and a big component was the fact that Nux always had the answer for all of bayagster's wall antics. Now bayagster is a very old school player, and he was absolutely amazing at getting the force fields on with the sentries, but right now there are Ravagers that can really bust things down. The Roaches packing a punch against the wall, Banelings on the first game, just able to penetrate eventually with their numbers, and all's well that ends well there for Nux to get that 2-0 victory. But for now, it feels like Nux is just prepared to try and get the shutdown to begin with, as I do want to go for a little bit of a share screen for the rest of the people here in the admin side. In the meantime, yeah, sorry about that. Just to crackle on over. Sorry, I'm like that's a big issue sometimes when I suddenly share the screen. Yeah, it's just basically my sound gets distorted a little bit because of the audio sample, and big apologies there because using headphones. But hey, it's time to get our gateways on. It's time to go for Cybernetic score as well. Metabolic boost in the meantime here for Nux. And well. We'll see how the drones are going to be transitioned onto that third base. Okay, though by this point in time, it still will be all about bayagster. looking to have these buildings into the front line. Adepts double pumped out immediately. Chrono boost, so essential to get many of those units to try and go for that early defense. And Nuks, for the time being, is looking around the map to try and see if there are going to be any openings or if there is anything amiss into Eternal Empire. Now, bayagster always has the opportunity to go for a proxy, and he tried to do so in their second map last time, if I remember correctly, or with the northward small little base in Simulacrum. But this time on Eternal Empire, he is actually gonna let the pylon finish. So usually bayagster does set up the pylon here, just in case something runs on in when he wants to go for his own advance. It's very safe. It only costs you 25 minerals if you go for the cancel. But since he saw his opponents in the front lines already and his units weren't in position, well, he let that pylon finish. And right now, it's going to be a recall here from bayagster to bring those units back home. So Adepts brought back into a proper spot. In the meantime, Twilight Council now being built by our Protoss player. Gateways now being built at the same time, and well, it's still all anyone's game here, as the gateway units are going to be the focus points of this onslaught. But yeah, some lag there. Really goes to show the internet issues hurting bayagster. But Nuks, very stable, not only internet but also in his macro game. And he's looking to find a little more scouting information, but the hallucinated Phoenix will be enough to get that high ground vision, and the sentry has been poking at that Overlord for so long, eventually it will get popped. Anyway though, so he's running on around the map again, encircling every little bit of Eternal Empire just to make sure bayagster isn't doing something amiss. But at the same time, it seems like the strange parts of this build is going to be on that main base. So Nuks doesn't know anything that's going on to that high ground whatsoever. bayagster is setting up a few pylons here and there, expecting Nidus play from his opponent. Dark Shrine. Dark Templar, apparently, going to be called here for bayagster. And we'll see if these stealthy units are going to be enough to really bring it back for the Protoss to try and get his revenge. Anyway though, so everything's running on around again. And here for Nuks, it has to be just a macro focus by this point. He can't go for another expansion. He can just make sure his opponent is basically neutered. And Nuks, so close, does get the vision! That was so close. That was absolutely essential. That last second, that last bit, exposing the Dark Shrine. And we've seen bayagster do this before. The Shadow Strike, the whatever it's called, the blink on these deities. Honestly, a good tool on bayagster's arsenal. He knows how to use this very well against Spore Crawlers, but when you're facing off against an Overseer instead, it's a lot more difficult. And honestly, if I were bayagster, I'd probably just not commit on this. Even though you have Dark Shrine, you can just use them as support units instead of going for the snipes, and when the fights are really happening, that's when you can go for the pokes. But now bayagster will get caught in the open. Seems like a DC is in order, and yeah, it's Mr. bayagster who is lagging out there, losing the Dark Templar, unfortunately, as he is going to go for the charge lots. And yeah, it's just so difficult for Mr. bayagster. He's having so many issues with his internet, and it really is the biggest deal breaker right now for our Protoss player. But anyway, so the action is afoot, and bayagster getting those DT on the inside. Nuks in the meantime with the Overseer right now running on around. 6 minutes in, seems like it's just gonna be a little bit of a reprieve here for our Protoss, but Nuks is just happy to enjoy anything and everything he wants to do all the way in behind. Now for Nuks, he is just reacting basically to what bayagster is doing, as the Shadow Stride is coming online here for our Dark Templar. And we'll see if bayagster can really do anything with this, as he's trying to get that third base. Because at the same time, it's Nuks just running on around the map again. Overseer Cocoon now looking for the hatch on. In the meantime, here comes the Warp Prism, and it has 2 Archons on the inside. So it seems like the DTs were turned into the big blue balls of energies. Burn, baby, burn, like a Disco Inferno. Something you really say about the Archon in general. And he just wants to burn everything. Nuks, though, is going for that Spirit Sec. Can actually whip out those Mutalisks into this one. At the same time, though, looking for a drop, looking for an opportunity. And creep rumors abound right now for Nuks. Wants to go for the spread, and it seems like bayagster surprising his opponent. He was expecting DT to come online, but here comes the Archons instead. Quite tanky units. And they will be able to pack a good punch. Fighting off the Overseer already. Bayagster trying to make some space here for the Warp Person potentially to get a cycle on. I'd love to see him actually whip out a few DTs along the way using the Archons as baits. 3 drones have gone down. Roaches are going to be able to stem the tide. And wow, oh wow, Bayagster having the same kind of approach on the other side. But the Warp Person going to get caught. Oh my god, my hearts. Those Archons, they tried their best, but they couldn't get out in time. And goodbye. Just so many minerals and gas there on Bayagster's side. He's gonna try again. He's gonna do it on the east side. Well played though. Nuks already has the Overlord in position, and the reaction is absolutely on point. Baxter knows he can't really fight this one. Gonna be retreating instead. And Nuks in the meantime knows this is time to shine. Knows it's time to go for the attack. Anyway though, all about the zap here and now. And well. Let's see if the Sentry can actually hold the line. Here we go though with the recall. The Depths can't really get much done. And we have some Bloods, we have some Archons, but honestly, Nuks having a pretty big army of Roaches into this fight. Now, sure, the Archons can't tank things up, but the War Person needs to save them. It's all about the micro here and now. Not too much HP on that one. It will fall, and you can really see the latency hurting Bayagster there. It's just not working out. He's going for another attack with the Archons. This third base will go down, and Nuks with an absolutely huge advantage by this point. His third base will be whittled down to a good degree, and the army count is absolutely huge. Nuks with 110, Bayagster 22. It seems like the bubble has been popped, and Nuks right now is just waiting to win things out. Change things, turning into Zealots, just to look for a little bit of the blockade. Oversight right now to get the vision on. The wall is breached. Nuks right now funneling on in. I guess the numbers, so it doesn't really matter what Bayagster does by this point, because Nuks has everything he wants and more. Will it be enough? What is our Protoss player doing? He's looking to defend his main base with some Stargates as the Mulus Ball has come online. And the 3 bases with the Roaches, with the Mutas, just too much for Bayagster to handle. Here comes the penetration on the natural we go. Everything trying to get rallied onto both sides, onto the Nexus, but GG is called. And Nuks with a very, very unsurmountable victory. Highly heartbreaking there against Bayagster, against someone of Nux's caliber. Having these latency issues really hurting him, and Nuks with that first map victory. Yet again, Eternal Empire looking to be his stomping grounds. And well, we are going to be moving into Nightshade next on the list. But big kudos to Nuks having the advantage, not letting up no matter what, using the time to defend, using the time to tech on up, using the time to get everything he needed and more. And he just took that one by storm. What a decisive victory there from Nuks. As we move into the next map, seems like Bayagster though gonna be looking to restart his internet because he needs to get that better performance on into Nightshade, or else he'll be eliminated from the tournament. Kudos though to our 2 players, because they have been doing so much, honestly. They have been so on point in the whole tourney, and at least they are guaranteed at a minimum of 700 pesos for a 3rd place pricing. Really, the top 3 not changing from the last one. It was Ender, it was Nuks, and Bayagster, and here we go yet again with the same old faces, looking to really reshuffle the order. But for Nuks, he's just 1 map win away to go for another date with Ender. It seems like they're always having a picnic, but it's Ender the one having a little more of the feast, and Nuks in the famine side instead. So how will that ZVZ unfold? That's going to be a question for later, but it still might be a ZVP if Bayagster can whip out a victory on the next 2 maps. Anyway, though, we appreciate you guys tuning on in, and this is the SCPH quarantine tournament. Seems like we are just going to be setting things up for our next lobby, and Bayagster just going to be looking to reset that internet. So, in terms of rating, if I remember correctly, Bayagster is Masters 2, and then Nuks is Master 1, Tier 1, so Nuks is always at the borderline of GM, or he does get into GM from time to time too. He's pretty consistent actually. So it's really impressive to see such a high tier caliber game. Now we do just need to wait on to Mr. Bayagster, so hopefully he can be a-okay very soon. But in the meantime, guys, We will be right back. We'll take a little bit of a break. Take the time given by Bagsters. Don't go away. This is the lower bracket finals of the SCPH Quarantine Tournament. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and we are just waiting on for Bags right now to come on back into this matchup. So Nux already with the 1-0 lead, moving over to take care of the Eternal Empire. And will he be able to conduct business accordingly on Nightshade LE? Now, of course, Ender is waiting on for the victor of these two players right now in a potential best of 5 there in the grand finals, which will need on for bayagster to come on back and get things done. Seems like though he is back and ready to go. Hopefully, we're giving him a little bit of hope and a prayer to have his net all fixed up and ready to go. But our two players are gonna be good to go here and now. Seems like Nightshade LE really will be the background. And remember guys, this is our map pool for this series. Nuks taking care of Eternal Vampire. Nightshade right now gonna be next on the list, and we are ready to go as Everdream can be potentially played if bayagster takes this map back. We've seen Zen all day yesterday, but it has been constantly banned here in the Masters bracket. I wonder why. It's such a big dynamic. It's such a big difference, honestly, in terms of the two skill levels. And it's something to note, honestly. You see the Terrans and the Protosses run rampant and really destroy, especially the Protoss race in the Golden Diamond, with the top 4 being all Protoss. But here and now, it is two Zergs that are always at the forefront. We have our Protoss player in the top 3, but will he be able to make it to the grand finals? That's gonna be the real question, and it seems like our match has already started, and we are good to go. One more map for Nuks to move on back to the grand finals. Can he do it, or will bayagster stop him in his tracks? So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and here we go again. If Nuks takes this, he will move on to the grand finals and give us the mirror matchup that we always get in terms of the best into the local scene. Introducing first on the bottom east side of Nightshade, it's our blue Zerg, Nuks. And now his opponents on the top left instead, it's gonna be our red Protoss, bayagster. So here we go again. Now let's get things done. Assimilator stump being built here by bayagster. He's gonna go for the natural wall. And the thing about Nightshade, you have to be careful on how you're walling this, because if you don't wall this properly, if you don't actually do this right, it's gonna be a repeat of what happened in the grand finals last time of the quarantine tournament too. It's just like, if you don't pay attention to some of these free vices, you are gonna see Zerglings funnel on in a curve, and surprise surprise, a bayagster is going to be looking to make sure that everything is going to be fine and dandy in that regard. But anyway though, seems like a second base being built right now by bayagster. Nuks in the meantime will go for that hatchery, we'll go for the pool as well. Seems like macro going to be in order. Hatchery first here for Nuks, and he's looking to time things right to bring on the punishment later on in the game. I feel like for me, hatchery first is one of the best. It's just basically one of the best things you can actually whip out in the first place. Like, if you do play the hatchery, you are going to be looking to get into a more mid-game orientation and really play into how a Zerg works. In the meantime, even though the Zerg is classically the race to rush, the pool first does have the aggression, the pool first does have the numbers, but it can be easily countered by proper building placement as well as range damage in behind. And bayagster right now is looking to do so, but he still has a pretty big opening here, so he has to be careful in terms of walling things over. And in the meantime though, all about keeping things up here and now. We do see bayagster though getting an adept out in front. And oh, proxy pylon. So here on Nightshade, we do see proxy pylons, especially on locations like this on the high ground in the potential, what, 5th, 6th base expansion. It's ridiculous how far it is, honestly. Because this is your first, this is your second, this is your third. Now, this is your main, this is your natural, this is usually one of your thirds, and this is just like your fourth, and it's like all the way 5. So far away. You don't really see this base being taken unless you're always in the late game. But Nuks now scouting around, barely misses the pylon. That was so close. So Nuks will probably think that everything is just fine and dandy, but in the meantime, bayagster is looking to play the adepts instead. It's going to be Twilight Council on the left-hand side, gets a little bit of that Chrono Boost action, and Nuks right now with Carapace online, going for the scout as well. Now Nuks might actually misread this main base having nothing, because he doesn't see the Twilight Council on the left-hand side, and he might be thinking a proxy is happening just because of that. And in the meantime, Nuks right now looking to face off against these adepts. The drones have already gone down. The workers forced to go for the fight. The queens are there eventually. But 4 drones for the price of 2 adepts. Not too bad there for bayagster. Could have been a little better if he did have a little more space to work with. But hey, Can't be anyone's game right now. Finally, Nuks finally cancel, so everything should be a-okay in that regard, but he still doesn't know that there is a proxy actually there. He's gonna have to decide how to play things out as bayagster will look for the wall on in. Sentry saves itself with a really good force field at the last moment. Nuks beating back yet again. But by this point in time, it's Nuks right now. Going on 3 base, we'll go for the Roach play as well. And we have some extractors to boot to get a little bit of gas going. I wouldn't be surprised if he does go for a full range composition for this map. Especially on how things are done in terms of, in terms of the Zerg unit comp that he wants to run in the first place. The Adepts right now running on the round. Nuks again with the scouting. All in all, it's our Zerg player trying to play the info game as potent as can be. But anyway, by this point in time, it's Nuks looking to just really set things up on term in the creep tumors. And just looking back in the quarantine tournaments, it's just so many different things that show up for our players, that show up in terms of our games. From Gold to Diamond, it's just so many different antics that happen from time to time. And here in Masters Plus, it still can't be the same case. We have seen a lot of different builds, especially from David Blaine as well as from bayagster. And it's ridiculous how creative these players can be. But Nuks right now defending pretty well, taking care of these attempts before they can get into those lines. And bayagster right now just getting beaten to the punch one more time. Now honestly for bayagster, he's just trying to keep the pressure. But Nuks might be wondering, why do the Adepts come from the west when he has that vision already? But he doesn't really care by this point. He's gonna go for the attack on the wall instead. And does he have that Baneling? That seems like it's not the case. He only has the Roach Warren. He can go for the bus with the Roaches and the Ravagers instead. But Nuks, he's gonna go for a cycle of eggs. Immediately Adepts are spotted. Here we go with the Psionic Transfer. Gets a cancel on. And that's a really good positioning here for bayagster so far. Looking to force Nuks out and really keep his reinforcements at bay. Third base won't really get too much done. Nuks retreating with everything he has and more. It's highly unfortunate though Roaches weren't that cycle, because if that was Roaches, Nuks could be like, okay, I can still go for the attack, I can still force things out. But he has a pretty big lead on the armor count, but bayagster is fully saturated onto base and more. Now for bayagster, even though he has that worker count advantage, Nuks does still have the economic lead in that regard, because he can just saturate these 3 bases. Still a little more minerals going in favor of bayagster with those probes right now, and in the meantime, it's Nuks looking to keep things up. Eventually, though, it seems like our Warp Gate has been spotted. Here we go to surround. The Adept will go down, and finally the punishment is into play. And Nuks taking the lead on the economy here. He's just basically shutting down bayagster, who knows he wants to expand. He has over-probed basically on his second base, and interesting enough, we are gonna see the last stand what we saw from Gold to Diamond. So in the Gold to Diamond Grand Finals, guys, if you weren't able to tune on in, this became a build for some reason. Void Rays with the Flux Veins, he got the Fleet Beacon on, so he is gonna get the movement speed, he is gonna get the +1, and en masse, Void Rays are really, really scary, especially when they have the +1. It just adds a little bit more oomph to them. The Void right now vaporizing the Overseer, and well, look how quick these things can go. The mites of Shakuras indeed, as the Void Rays as well as even the Stalkers getting some upgrades here. And now, oh, it's bayagster with his classic Mothership. Now, earlier on in their previous matchup, he did try to go for it, and he did get it in time, but Miss Micro brought it on the west side, lagged out, and that was just a show with the Baneling Nest, getting enough Banelings out, getting the bust on, and pushing on through to get through the wall. But anyway, still Nuks right now looking to respond. He already does get the Overseer into play, and he uses it for the scout, but he's gonna need more of them into the future, as we get a little bit of disconnect there. Hope that was all fine. Like, I didn't really see who disconnected there, but you know, just a little bit of a hiccup again, pretty much expected right now into this matchup. But it's Nuks as well as bayagster moving on now. A lot of Void Rays in the sky, and these things go very quickly, honestly. They go very, very fast if left unchecked. So in position they go. Does Nuks know that it is there? Seems like he sees the ships on the south side. It might be a base race scenario here, as this prismatic alignment can be very, very potent, of course, to go for the focus fire onto the hatchery. Hydralisk though are already in position, and I love the pick here from Nuks. He realizes that this is gonna be Mass Void Ray. He's gonna be shutting this down with all the spines in the world. Bayagster, is he okay? Okay, they're trying to get the micro on, and who is it? The hiccups has to hurt Bayagster. He's struggling right now to get the micro in the first place, and he desperately needs to keep these Void Rays alive, or he's just gonna be throwing everything he has away into the sink. But with Nuks, with double the army, with Nuks having more bases, with Nuks having such an advantage, with having the right composition, these Void Rays are gonna get nothing done. Mothership not gonna go online anytime soon. Finally, the invisibility is there, but it's too little too late, as the wall has been breached. Bayagster trying to come in behind. Here comes the cloaking field to help things out, and oh, it's gonna be buying time. Nuks right now has to retreat, sees the invisibility, and can't do anything about it. He doesn't have an Overseer in position, but he's taking care of the depths instead. So Bayagster able to stall things out just a little bit, but the army count is absolutely huge, and as soon as Nuks brings in these Hydras, that Mothership is going to get shut down very, very quickly. It seems like we are going to get the Phoenix upgrade next on the list, but honestly, Bayagster is just running out of time to work with. Nuks has a big army, Nuks has everything he wants and more, and even though we are seeing all these variances from the Sky Toss, it just might not be enough. Overseer is in position, the cloaking field can't really get anything done. This Nexus point will go down very, very easily, and with the Hydras in tow, that is just way too much for the Mothership to handle. Here we go though with the push. Here comes the Overseer right now, pop in their Reserver mode, the Oversight to see everything going on. Time Warp to put the Hydras in their place. And it's gonna be a slow field there, but it just doesn't matter. Here we go now with the damage being done. The Hydra's trying to get on through. Good movement there from Bayagster to get in behind the wall, but the wall has been breached yet again. GG is called, and we are gonna see a ZVZ in the grand finals. Nuks takes that one 2-0 with a victory on Nightshade to wrap it up. Well played there to Nuks, able to get the counter at the right time. He was able to see the Void Rays coming his way, and having the Hydra less than at the proper moment, able to counter things up. The Hydra's very, very good against Void Rays. The Void Rays can't do bonus damage against non-armored units, and that was just a show. Throw those spines up and shut things down. Well played overall though to Nuks. Bayagster putting in an effort even though he had those latency issues. And well played to both players. I'd love seeing the Mothership there from Bayagster. Still didn't work this time. Maybe we'll get them next time, champ. But here are your results. Eternal Empire and Nightshade taken by our Zerg player. And we are going to be moving into the grand finals in just a bit. Well played there to Nuks. Can he get revenge against Ender? He took one map already, so he's looking pretty good for this tournament. But, of course, it's still going to be a tough task ahead of him. In the meantime, though, we'll be taking a short break. Stick around. Our grand finals is coming up next in the SCPH Quarantine Tournament number 3 Masters Plus bracket.